Okay, so in this video I'm going to show you how to express a one-to-one relationship in a physical model. You know, a physical model is really one step closer. It's basically your last stop before you actually open up a tool, a database management system like Oracle or Access or something, and start building your actual database. So the physical model is much more detailed than the logical models that we were doing a couple weeks ago. And in the physical model, now we've added attributes. We talked about that in the last learning unit. Every table should have a primary key, of course. And but in a physical model, it's no longer enough to just put a line between two entities and just say they're in a relationship. And that's because there are no lines in a database. In the database, relationships are formed by, through the placement of keys. You basically take the primary key of one table and place it as a foreign key in another table, which is what we're going to do here. And so in any case, I'm going to zero in on this relationship. I'll do the other two, the one-to-many and the many-to-many, in later videos. But okay, so student is in a one-to-one relationship with the ID card. That is, a student has one and only one ID, theoretically. And one ID card, like the plastic card, is owned by one and only one student. So that's a one-to-one relationship. And when you're expressing a one-to-one relationship, really you just pick a side, any side. It doesn't matter. And you take the primary key of that side and place it as a foreign key in the other side. So I'm just going to pick the student side. I could have just as easily picked the ID card, but I'm going to pick the student side. I'm going to take this student ID primary key and place it as a foreign key in the ID card. And, draw IO is a bit awkward to work with. I think probably the best way to add a new row to an entity is to right-click any one of those rows, like just this regular row here. I'll right-click, and I'm going to duplicate that row. So now I have a nice new row to work with. I obviously have to make changes here. So this is going to be the student ID. It's going to be a foreign key, and we'll talk about I'm going to mark it as a foreign key in just a moment. But basically, every column, including the one I'm about to add, including foreign key columns, has got to have a data type. And so this is an integer. In the primary key column, it's an integer. It's an identity column. We call that a surrogate key, where the database management system is handling those numbers. It's like an auto numbering type of system. So in this case, this one is set up to start at 100,000 and be incremented by 1. So if the students have 6-digit ID numbers, the first student ever to get an ID is going to be 100,000, and then the next, everyone's incremented by 1 after that. But in any case, this is an auto number type of thing, which you will never ever use for a foreign key. They're great for primary keys, but not foreign. So for when you have a foreign key, you're not going to do auto number. You're not going to do int identity. You're just going to go with a plain integer value typically. So I'm just going to go with just plain int. Notice I'm not adding the identity stuff. That is not something you do for a foreign key. And that's it. And then my next order of business is to actually mark this as a foreign key. Now you have choices here in Draw IO, and it's an awkward tool, I know that. So just find a way to mark a foreign key and I'll be happy. But one thing you could do is get out on the right here and just go like that and add an FK in parentheses, and I'll see it and I'll know that that's a foreign key. Another thing you could do when you're doing this is you do have a little space in there out on the left, just like you mark the primary key is marked out on the left. That's kind of a nice place to mark the foreign key, out on the left there. So that's another option that you have. So, and that's it. That's really all you need to do. The relationship is represented, and in the next video I will move on to the one-to-many relationship.